1 year later. The moonlight spilled through the cabin's windows, the curtain blowing from the breeze, gentle ripples forming with every jolt. The cool air touched her skin, sending chills through her body. She tightened the robe around herself as she fixed the lamp that trembled with each gust outside. A pen dangled in her hands as she flipped through the pages once again, eyes focused on the words. She scribbled something on the paper, and then picked her phone to check the time. It was nearly after 1. She stifled a yawn and closed the book and stretched her hands out. A soft, whimpering sound caught her attention. She whipped her head to the bed where a sweet little bundle lay nestled in a cozy wrap of fuzzy blankets. A smile danced on her lips as she walked to the bed, the exhaustion from hours of studying long forgotten. "Did you miss Mommy, 𝐻𝐿𝐃𝐒?" She cooed at the baby, who looked at her with big round eyes filled with stars. The baby made fussy noises and 𝐻𝐿 couldn't hold herself any longer. "Aw, is baby hungry, huh?" A gummy smile stretched on the baby's face as 𝐻𝐿 scooped him in her arms. "Such a good boy, 𝐻𝐿, letting Mommy study without making a fuss. You deserve all the milk in the world." She peppered kisses all over his chubby cheeks. Little fits of giggles followed after. They were so wrapped up in each other's world that they didn't notice someone else entering the room and watching them with fondness. "What about me?" he announced with a clearing of throat, and 𝐻𝐿 turned to look at with a playful glare. She knew what the smirk on 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃𝐄's face meant. "What about my milk? Go away, you pervert." She rolled her eyes and held the baby up in her arm, blowing raspberries on his stomach, making the cute baby giggle. Their favorite sound in the world. 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃 shook his head in endearment and threw an arm around 𝐻𝐿's waist, pulling them closer. "Are you done studying?" he whispered, taking the baby from 𝐻𝐿 and holding him conveniently in his other arm. 𝐻𝐿 hummed back and just relished in her mate's strong alpha scent. "How are you feeling about the test? Are you prepared?" 110%. Seoul National had better be prepared for me. A slow, soft smile spread over 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃's face as he leaned down to press a warm kiss on her forehead. "That's my girl." He kissed the top of her head. "𝐻𝐿, I have to ask you, shoot. How about we move back to the city once you get into college? I have a penthouse which I left back when I moved here. It'll be convenient for you. You wouldn't have to travel long hours then." That's not a bad idea, but I want 𝐻𝐿 to live here for a while. This place is so peaceful, and he'll connect with his roots. Once I get residency through, then we'll get to the city. "Are you willing to travel long hours then? It'll be tough for you, honey. Besides, 𝐻𝐿 also needs you." "Don't worry, Kookie. We'll manage it." She pulled away and pecked his lips. 𝐻𝐿 was looking at her with eyes screaming, "Feed me or I'll spiral." This little devil, she thought. "Give this little devil to me. I'll feed him now." 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃 smiled and gave her the baby. 𝐻𝐿 cradled the baby in her arms and began nursing him. It was such an adorable sight for 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃. All his life, he felt inadequate, incomplete, but not anymore. Not when two of the most important people in his life were right an arm's length away. Right that instant, 𝐻𝐿 looked up at him and mouthed an "I love you," and a huge smile took over his face. He could never be happier. Time skip? True to her words, 𝐻𝐿 did score the highest in the entrance test, and admissions letters from multiple high-ranking medical universities reached her. Her hard work paid off. "We should celebrate this achievement," 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃 announced one night with 𝐻𝐿 happily babbling in his arms. The next day, 𝐻𝐿's parents and her friends, including Mingyu, who 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃 kept side-eyeing every 2 minutes, came over and celebrated. Needless to say, the star of the night was, drums rolls, baby 𝐻𝐿. It was as if 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃 and 𝐻𝐿 had suddenly gone invisible. Everyone wanted to see little baby Alpha and took turns, even fighting for holding him. In the end, 𝐻𝐿's mother won and the baby didn't leave her arms for the rest of the night. The party was a success. Everyone had a great time and congratulated 𝐻𝐿. Mingyu was sticking to her all the time, making a certain someone boil in jealousy, but he wouldn't show. Anyway, fast forward to a month later when 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃 and 𝐻𝐿 were finally traveling to the city. "Are you excited?" 𝐁𝐄𝐓𝐃 whispered. An arm wrapped around 𝐻𝐿, who was feeling all jittery from the thrill of going to college. "Super," she replied with a nod, her eyes landing on the baby sleeping in Jungkook's arms. Soon, their attention was brought to a huge facility where the car slowly pulled up to. The whole parking lot was filled by people, mostly young boys and girls coming with their loved ones. Jungkook and YN shared a look. This was it. With a sigh, she stepped out of the car. Jungkook followed behind. She took the baby off his arms as he helped him take her stuff out. Wait, is he an alpha? His scent is intense, almost gives you chills. Shh, he might hear it. You wouldn't want to mess up with an alpha now. He's wow. Never seen someone this handsome. He's screaming big energy. I think I'll go into heat just standing here. Is that his mate? She's with a baby? Are they mates? They heard all sorts of whispers around them but didn't lend anyone an ear. Jungkook carried her stuff to the dorm and helped her arrange it. Little Jaehyun was stretched out on her bed, kicking his chubby legs in the air as he babbled, in what seemed suspiciously like an argument with the ceiling. All done now. Jungkook patted his hands to remove the imaginary dust. Yen stood next to him and sighed, I'll stay here a week and maybe then work out a plan for the commute. Her eyes landed on Jaehyun. A flash of concern passed her eyes. Jungkook immediately noticed it. He's going to be all right. Trust me, he reassured. YN didn't reply and just picked the baby off the bed and cradled him to her chest. I'm going to miss you so much, my love. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day I spend without you, you'll never leave my mind. She pecked all over her baby face and held him in her arms as they both walked out. This time, a bunch of squealing girls followed them who probably got an inkling that there was an alpha in the campus. He is so handsome, oh my god. Don't get too close to him, you'll go into heat. You've already got admirers, YN elbowed him, earning an eye roll from her alpha. Too bad, I'm booked, came his reply, which made YN hearts swell in pride. They were back in the parking lot. Jungkook's driver was waiting for him all this while. It was time to say goodbye. YN mustered up all the courage she had and handed Jaehyun over to Jungkook, every inch of her urging her not to. Take care of him, Cookie, she whispered. Her voice small and teary. She was holding back tears. He's going to be fine. Besides, you'll come back home every 2 days. Why do you worry? Jungkook pulled her closer and planted a kiss on her head. I'm going to miss you, YNE. Don't hang out with boys, alright? Know that a very possessive alpha is waiting for you at home. She wiped a lone tear that left her eyes and nodded against his chest. I'll miss you too, Cookie. I'll miss you and Jaehyun. Please keep telling him that Mama loves him. I will, he kept repeating, and then he pulled away. Off you go now. Your class starts in 10 minutes. He patted her cheeks. YN nodded and pressed a final kiss to Jaehyun's cheeks before turning her back and almost running away until a voice stopped her. Hey, Wenny, Jungkook called, and she looked back with a frown. I love you. Her heart nearly leapt off her chest, a big smile flashing on her face. I love you more. 7 years have gone by. YN was now a doctor working at the SMU Hospital, Seoul's biggest medical center. 2 years ago, they made the decision to move back to the city because it was increasingly difficult for her to travel long distances every day to get to college and back. Jaehyun is now 6 years old. A cute little boy who looked exactly like his father. Big round eyes, pitch black hair, and a bunny smile. It was as if her genes didn't even try. They live in the same penthouse where Jungkook lived before moving to the cabin. With Jaehyun's smiles filling the whole place, it didn't lack warmth anymore. It was after another tough night at the hospital when YN returned home. The white hanging on her shoulder as she cracked her neck of exhaustion and entered inside. Her eyes immediately fell on the kitchen where Jungkook usually waited for her with a meal. Tonight, it was eerily quiet. With a sigh, she trudged into the living room, and the sight that welcomed her nearly made the exhaustion fade away. Jungkook was sprawled on the sofa, with Jaehyun sleeping on his chest soundly. A small smile broke out on her lips. They look so peaceful together, she said to herself, but then the same thoughts that have been nagging her for days resurfaced. Like they almost don't need me. Her mood soured as she longingly looked at her son. Her little boy that she loved more than anything. Did he even know that? Did he know how much it broke her to see Jungkook receiving all the attention? It's not like it's a competition for her. It's just she felt so worthless as a parent. Like she felt she failed terribly at being a good mother. Hell, she didn't even remember the last time she put Jaehyun to sleep or even made him his favorite breakfast. He loved the blueberry pancakes she made for him once. He kept asking for more. Tears made their way to her eyes. She sniffled as she wiped them dry and rushed to the bedroom, closing the door a little harshly. She threw the coat in her bed and paced around the room, biting her nails. You don't deserve to be a mother. You're an awful parent. Learn something from your mate. Her mind kept replaying the same words over and over. She didn't even know what it was. Exhaustion from tending to patients all day, or spending long hours perfecting surgeries, or really just being a horrible mother. She couldn't keep it in her anymore. She was tired, exhausted, and just unhappy. Being a doctor and helping others had always been her dream. So why did it feel so unfulfilling? Why was she feeling inadequate? YN sank onto the edge of the bed and cupped her face. The weight of it all was making her head go dizzy. Her head felt as if it was holding the weight of the whole world. She was so lost in her misery that she didn't notice the door slipping open and Jungkook walking in. "Honey," he whispered, and YN quickly dabbed her tears dry and forced a smile. "Have you been crying? Is everything okay?" Yeah, I'm good, just a little tired," she said a little too quickly. Jungkook didn't miss the hesitation behind her words. She was definitely hiding something. "Have you eaten? Food is in the microwave. I'm not hungry." She lied. But she didn't feel like eating. I'll just take a shower and sleep." Jungkook shook his head in understanding and didn't press her more. She got up to leave. When she returned, Jungkook had already turned off the lights and had taken his usual spot on the bed. She slipped into the comforter and turned her back to him. "I took Jaehyun to the supermarket today," he suddenly said, and YN felt like crying once again. She didn't want to hear how much fun they had today, without her. "He asked me to buy him medical toys." She held her breath. "Did he hear this right? Medical toys. Said he wants to be like you one day, a doctor." And YN was already silently crying, a fresh batch of tears soaking the pillow beneath her head. "He loves you so much, YN. You have no idea." It was as if he was speaking to himself because YN stayed silent this whole time. But then, out of nowhere, she turned around and threw herself in Jungkook's arms, sobbing softly against his chest. He immediately reached out for her and pulled her closer. Shh, it's okay. I know what you feel, but trust me, honey, it's far from reality. He loves you to death." He kept peppering kisses all over her head, his hand caressing her gently. You don't get it, Cookie. He doesn't even..." She sobbed, her breath getting stuck in her throat. "Doesn't even call me anymore. He used to do it a lot. Now he's..." "I told him not to call you." As soon as he said it, YN pulled away and propped up on her elbows to get a better look at Jungkook's face, praying that he was joking. Hey, don't get me wrong. It's just you told me how tough it is for you, doing surgeries and all. I thought he might disturb you." "Jungkook." She seethed, so ready to give him a mouthful. "He's my son. My top priority. Nothing, I repeat, nothing matters to me more than him." "I understand." He let out a shaky exhale, but YN was having none of it. "No, you don't understand, Jungkook. You don't get it. He's got you wrapped around his finger. Not me? He might look up at me because that's the only thing motivating him. That's all. You and I both know that I'm doing a horrible job as a mother." Jungkook didn't say anything. He just pulled you back to his arm while you tried to resist him. He still wrapped an arm around and gently caressed your back. "Stop being so hard on yourself, baby. It's nothing like what you think. You're not a horrible mother. You're a wonderful mother, and Jaehyun knows that. Trust me, he does. He doesn't even hug me anymore. Doesn't even give me a goodbye kiss." She lamented, her voice quivering as she tried so hard not to cry. "You never asked him why? Did you? Why would I ask him? It's obvious he doesn't want to." "Oh, silly YN. He doesn't hug or kiss you because our little genius thinks he will transfer his germs to you, and that are going to kill your patient. He even bribed me with his share of banana milk to not kiss you for the same reason." What even? She couldn't believe her ears. No way he did that. She chortled. Talk to him, YN. You don't do it anymore. He keeps asking me if you are mad at him because you don't sit with him anymore. I thought he didn't want me to, she murmured, her voice thick with regret. He is your son, YN. Your blood. He would never ever want to be away from you. He continued to caress her back. Promise me you'll go talk to him first thing in the morning? I will. I will talk to my baby. I will tell him that I love him more than anything in the world. I'll also tell him to call me whenever he feels like, even if his silly dad won't let him. I'll get him his own phone. She teased Jungkook with a playful punches on his chest. Hey, I thought we talked about it. No phones till he's 15. He held her fist and gave her a playful raise of brow. Who even listens to you? She rolled her eyes and tried to settle back on her stop if it weren't for her alpha pulling her back with a shriek. Hey, say it again, I dare you. He was full-on teasing mood now, his dark eyes shining with mischief. Noon listens to you. She poked at his chest with every word, obviously trying to wind up the alpha, not knowing how badly it could fire back. Time skip, screw you, Jungkook, was the first thing that flashed in her mind as she got up the next morning and limped her way to take a shower. The said man was nowhere in sight. After taking a hot shower, she felt a lot better. When she wandered into the kitchen, she saw Jaehyun sitting on a chair, reading a book. Jungkook, however, was rummaging through the cabinets, an apron tied around his waist, and, yep, it looked just as annoyingly good on him as it did the first time she'd seen it. Her heart did a little flip at the sight. So perfect, so domestic. She announced her presence with a clearing of the throat. Jaehyun placed the book down and smiled big at her. Mommy, he exclaimed with a big smile. Yin returned the smile and stretched her hands out. Hey baby, why don't you give mommy a hug? She said. Jaehyun was already off his chair and running into her arms. She kneeled and hugged him hard, peppering kisses all over his face. Oh baby, my baby. Jaehyun kept giggling as YN smothered him with kisses. Mummy, Daddy bought me toys yesterday. Can I show you? He chirped in excitement, little hands clapping at the thrill of showing his favorite toys to his mommy. Why don't we check them out together after breakfast? He joined in. Jaehyun looked at YN with big puppy eyes, as if asking her to let him do it now, but she just kissed his cheeks again. Daddy's right. Let's do it after breakfast. She stood up and walked Jaehyun to his chair, helping him sit on it. Speaking of which, how about I make my Jaehyun's favorite blueberry pancakes? The moment she said it, Jaehyun's eyes went big as saucers. He was nearly bursting with excitement as he yelled out aloud, yes. Jungkook and YN shared a warm smile. Moments later, the kitchen was filled with Jaehyun laughter as YN and Jungkook continued to playfully bicker with each other while making breakfast. YN chuckled as she flipped another pancake. Memories of a disastrous tea party filled her mind and she couldn't stop recalling them. Remember when you used salt instead of sugar in that tea for my parents? My mom took a sip and nearly turned inside out. How was I supposed to know what is what? They both come in white bags, for God's sake. Jaehyun bursts into laughter, his cheeks stuffed with pancakes. Maybe you should taste it first, Dad. Like maybe have a tiny sip and go, salty. Oh, I can just picture him, tasting it and saying, just how I like my tea. She snickered at the thought of Jungkook making a semi-disgusted face after sipping a disaster of a tea. Now you guys are being mean to me, okay? That was only one time. A one-time culinary disaster. At least Mom had the decency to pretend to enjoy it. She dramatically shook her head and laughed so hard that pancake bits nearly flew out of his mouth. You should just stick to pancakes, Daddy. No salt in pancakes. Jungkook feigned a gasp, a dramatic hand on his heart. What? No salt? What kind of cooking is that? And here I thought you'd love some Dad's special salty pancakes. Oh, no way. I like my pancakes sweet, he giggled, shaking his head in vigor. Jungkook tried to dab a fake tear from his eyes at this. I'm very offended at the lack of respect for my cooking. Scram, you drama queen. She gave him a push, and Jungkook fake gasped at her. Now I'm straight up being bullied. Tell me, Jaehyun, how is this fair? And that's when little Jaehyun erupted into another fit of laughter, his little body shaking with joy. "Silly daddy, you're so big. How can mommy bully you?" he said in between his fits of giggle. "Your mommy is a monster." Gleh. She playfully bared her teeth at Jungkook and made a growling sound. Jungkook feigned fear as he immediately rushed to hide behind Jaehyun, who was still laughing. "Save daddy from mommy monster." And their laughter continued. Until when? Time skip. And this is the Scaplel. He tried to say the hard word with difficulty as he picked out another toy from his toy medical box. Apparently operating, if plucking out some stuffing counts as one, on some bunny plushie. Hwan shook her head. "Scalpel. SCALPEL. She corrected him, spelling out each letter one by one. Jaehyun tried to remember, but soon got bored and turned his attention back to the bunny plushie which he was violating. Operating. "Bunny told me her tummy hurts. I told her there's a baby inside." Jungkook, who was lounging on the sofa, sipping his banana milk, felt it was the right time to just spit take. Hwan herself was so embarrassed that she couldn't even bring herself to look at Jungkook. Why is daddy being silly again? He confusedly looked between his mother, who was resembling a red tomato, and his father, who seemed to have lost a lung. Nothing? How do you know that you know? That babies grow in tummies? He replied as if she just asked him if the sky was blue. "I read it in a book. It had a difficult name. I read it under the reproduction section," he said with a shrug. "Did you show the book to daddy before reading?" She tried to smile at Jaehyun, but slowly turned to look at Jungkook with gritted teeth. "Yeah, daddy was cool with it. He was playing Call of Duty anyway, so he asked me not to disturb him, and that he'll give me ice cream if I didn't tell you." Her eyes narrowed into slits as she glared at Jungkook, mouthing, "You're so dead." Jungkook quickly disappeared before Hwan came swinging a sandal at him. "Jaehyun, tell me everything your daddy told you not to tell me. Daddy used your makeup for painting once, also broke your favorite vase, and..." That was it for Hwan. She saw red. "Alright, cool. Stay here, Jaehyun. I'll be back in a while." The smile on her lips slowly morphed into an evil grin as she took the ladle off the kitchen stand and walked into her bedroom. The man of the hour was nowhere in sight. Jungkook, wherever you're hiding, come out right this instant." Silence greeted her, making her nose flared in anger. She was on the verge of losing her cool. "I'm counting back from 10, and if you didn't come out..." The bathroom door creaked open, and out came Jungkook with his hand raised in surrender. "Look, I can explain." He tried, but Hwan threw the ladle straight to his face, which he ducked just in time. "No, you come here, you moron. How dare you let him read those things? How dare you use my makeup? How freaking dare you break my vase? I'm going to kill you with my bare hands." She charged at him, but he nimbly leaped onto the bed, and then practically flew to the other side of the room. Hwan followed him there, but he kept slipping off her arms, and this continued until Jungkook was forced to apologize, knelt in front of Hwan and Jaehyun while pulling his ears. If someone else had seen an alpha, the highest of all kinds, kneeling before an omega, they would have quaked in their boots. But this wasn't just any alpha. This was Jungkook. The strongest of lovers, the bestest of fathers. Together with Hwan, they were an unstoppable force.